Last Thursday was probably the biggest day for the NBA. Over 30 trades were made involving some big-name players, including some guards, with Dragic from Phoenix ending up going to Miami. Of course, they need some bodies with injuries that are happening to them. Then you look at some of the other teams, the Philadelphia 76ers, who seem to be in rebuild 2.0. I think they're taking a page out of the Edmonton Oilers. Throwing an Edmonton Oilers joke in there.
Every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
Who's the biggest winner and losers, or I guess the winners out of this whole thing?
I think winners, actually, this is a trade line I think you can look at who didn't do anything, and those are the winners to me. Like looking at your Raptors and your Golden State, and the teams that are in the top who have good teams, and they didn't need to do anything, and they're just like, you know what, we're fine with the way we are. We don't need extra players. We don't need to ruin what we're already doing, and that's like, you go to a trade deadline, everyone wants to focus on who players they got. Well, it's not about just who you got. It's about who you have, and if you don't need to give up an asset or give up a future for it, you're fine. So I think the top teams are the ones who came out and they win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, on the one hand, you're disappointed the Raptors didn't do anything, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. Shows they have confidence in their locker room, and I mean, you see it all the time. You kind of get a big ticket free agent in there, or pending free agent, and they can kind of disturb the dressing room. So whatever, stand tight. I don't know what NBA is like compared to the NHL. It was kind of cool to see KG back in Minnesota. That's neat to see, I guess, for Minnesota fans. It's kind of like when Randy Moss went back there, maybe. And I mean, besides that, I guess we'll see. Hopefully the Raptors can make it happen.
A lot of people around NBA circles, as well as the NBA fans, definitely will say this is probably the most entertaining NBA trade deadline that they've ever seen in quite some time. The NHL trade deadline's coming up next weekend, guys, or next week. Can we see the same excitement, or are we just going to see the run-of-the-mill guys coming here, draft picks going this way, the good role player going this way, but nothing really exciting? Or do you guys see that to be the complete opposite?
I don't know. I think it'll be a lot of spare parts and maybe some first-rounders in exchange for the odd stud here and there, but for the most part, it seems like a lot of GMs are conservative, a little more gun-shy these days. The Brian Burks of the world are the exception now. There's a few teams that are obviously be looking to sell, and speaking from the Bobcats standpoint, it needs to make sense. If you end up like we did, where there's not a lot of supply and a whole lot of demand, maybe there's a few teams like the Bostons and San Jose's, like we talked about, that are desperate, and you can catch them, giving up a little more than they usually would, then absolutely pull the trigger on it. But it seems like more and more in the age of the salary cap that a lot of teams will wait till draft day or just simply sit on their hands.
And there's not any studs anymore. Like, we traded Evander Kane, he's gone. So now there's no one left that's the marquee.
Anton Vermette?
I wouldn't put
I'm throwing a name out.
Second line.
But there's you have a lot of filler type role, like second. There are no first line players. There was rumors that Jordan Staal might go to Pittsburgh again or go somewhere else, but that was already nixed. So you got a lot of defensemen, a lot of just kind of more your second, third lines. Got teams looking for fourth liners.
Yeah.
The biggest
Second
problem is you
pairing.
have no cap space, and that's why we're not having these massive trades anymore, because you can't make the trades because it has to wait till the off season when we can see how much cap space we have left, who we're losing. So a trade deadline is kind of slowly going away, that we're not seeing the blockbusters anymore.
The hype's still not there. All right, how about this? Jameis Winston, former Heisman Trophy winner, was at the NFL Combine last week. Apparently, glowing reviews. They're saying his football IQ is reminiscent of a young Peyton Manning. Of course, his off-field issues, I wouldn't say he's more like a Randy Moss, but is certainly not good. He definitely has a rap sheet, both big and small. And with his stature, do you think that he should be given, Jameis Winston, the #1 overall pick, considering the off-field issues, despite his glowing review on the field? What do you guys say about that? Should that still matter at all, or does it matter what you do on the field?
I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of different angles. You see some teams that really, really, really value that interview, the football IQ and how this guy's going to fit in the dressing room. Then there's other teams like the Cleveland Browns. They'll take a shot at a Johnny Manziel.
Don't talk about.
But that's a little later.
They are then it gets to Johnny Manziel about, hey, he passes interviews, but look at the off-field stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And with you, if for example, if it involved a hockey team, if you knew a kid extremely talented, this guy could be an impact player, but yet what he does off the ice, outside of the rink, can be a problem, a distraction, perhaps another Evander Kane situation. So if you look at it would you take a chance on a kid that you know that's going to be a problem off the field for at least the solutions he might provide on it?
I wouldn't. I mean, there's teams. It's very tempting, especially if you're a team not in playoffs. You want that high skill guy, but I think those teams not in the playoffs, you see it all the time where they have enough individual skill. The Evander Kanes of the world, where they're a problem in the dressing room, and if the players don't like each other, you're not going to win for each other. And I think you see it in those top half organizations all the time. It's all about culture, and skill to a certain degree is replaceable over the long term. And I don't know. It's a huge risk.
It's a tough situation, but Andrew, what do you think about this? Jameis Winston could go first overall, but I would not waste a pick on him, to be honest.
Well, it depends, I guess, the team who are. Tampa Bay has the first pick. They need a quarterback, so they are going to take the best quarterback available. And he's throwing, actually. That's the intelligence at the combine and his throwing. That's the two things everyone was talking about. So they need a quarterback. They need someone to throw the ball. They're going to take him first overall. You look at, I sometimes don't look at what college kids do, because college kids will be college kids, and they do stupid things. And you don't want to talk about Menzel. Perfect example, though. Did stupid things in college, now coming in here, and he continued that trend. So if he gets to the pros and stops that trend, and we're talking Winston, if he can stop it, he's fine. Now you have a great quarterback who's a grown up, he's a matured man. Then there's no problem anymore. But it's what he can do once he gets to the pros. Menzel's obviously now having to go through rehab. Winston, jury's still out.
You look at the two starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, and they're Russell Wilson, 3rd rounder, and Tom Brady, 6th, 7th round?
Yeah.
So, I mean, over the long term, there's a lot of other factors that come into play, and those good teams know how to draft people with good work ethic and I think the right attitude, and you have to value it to a certain degree. I mean, but then again, Tampa Bay needs to take a risk and get their fans back into it at the very least. So
Well, he definitely will sell jerseys
Exactly.
and tickets, so they're worried about that, then I'm sure they'll be fine. All right, guys, we have some bills to pay. When we return, we're going to be back with Over Under next.